Community and Rural Affairs, Jack Wall, to wind up this section of the debate.
Chair, colleagues, I strongly commend to conference both motions 49 and 50. This government and Minister O'Keefe like to create the impression of full and effective commitment to the Irish language. The real story is one of dithering and delay while the situation in the Gaeltacht deteriorates, as does the situation with Irish in general. The 20-year strategy for the Irish language is well overdue, as is the action plan for the Irish language in the Gaeltacht. Tá an tám ag imach go tapi coffer Howard fe Christ na Gaelge na era. Chairman, as each of us planned together here over this weekend the Labour Party strategy for the next year and beyond, I ask you that you place high upon the agenda those least well off in our society. And in that, I'm calling upon the Minister for Community, Rural and Gaeltacht Affairs to produce a white paper upon communities. As we face into the worst crisis that the modern-day world has ever encountered, I believe that a proper plan must be put in place to ensure that those most vulnerable in our communities, be it rural or urban, are protected and that community life is reinvigorated and supported. Least well off in society may actually affect people and communities in many different ways. And from different perspectives, it may be financial, it may be loneliness, it may be isolation, it may be lack of facilities, it may be lack of linkage with the outside world, it may be of poor housing conditions, it may be safety or security. Age Action Ireland, in their excellent and detailed pre-budget submission, states, and I quote, and verifies what I've already said, that there are certain vulnerable groups of older people who cannot give any more and who should be protected from further cuts. These are the chronically ill, those on low incomes, those living alone, those currently struggling to heat their homes, the isolated who live in areas without public transport, and the frail who need some support to enable them to remain living in their own homes. Recently we heard the Taoiseach talk about Mehel and all that does, but amazingly when he spoke about that, it was for one thing and the wrong reasons. He spoke about it to protect himself and his own government from their failings and misappropriation of our wealth and the wealth of this country. What I believe it means is that the communities work together and live together and are proud to be helpful to one another. That hasn't happened in the last 15 years when greed and determination by the government to ensure that the greed continued, that we lost the wonderful aspect of life that was community involvement. I'm asking tonight that we as a party look back and see what that did for us in the bad days, in the 30s, 40s and 50s. And I'm asking that we again revigorate that by the production of a white paper and by asking and persuading the Minister to do so. Because I honestly believe in the times that are there now, never was it more wanted that we can look to one another and support one another and be a community again as we did in the past. Because life is all about living with your neighbour, understanding your neighbour, and not at the present time where we see in so many estates strangers arriving in the night, in the dark, and in the morning going before sunset to get work, and not in actual fact knowing anyone in that particular area. That isolation, of course, is worse in relation to the senior citizen, and it's worse because of the fact that there's so many things missing in Irish society that's valuable, that means that we look after those who are the backbone of our society for so long. And I would hope that in doing this, that each constituency, each branch of the party will put together some thoughts and some ideas about what they see as being of benefit to ensuring that the community revives itself and revigorates itself, and that we as a party would ensure that parishes will be back in vogue, that families will be working with one another, and in such then that the future children of the nation will see what Mehel is really about. Not survival for a party that has lost its direction and lost its views, but from a direction from a party that's coming into power with the help of God under Eamon Gilmore to give a new direction to what family life and values is about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. I now put the two motions under community.